So,
Over to you, Adrian, for your case study.
yes, thank you very much. Hi, Henry. Welcome to the case study. Today, I'd like to talk to you about some of my learnings, the journey I've gone through, and in general, this entire boot camp per se. So, just first to give a quick overview of the process that we went through throughout the Prod MBA. I was actually enticed by the curriculum and how it was structured, and this notion of, okay, let's first understand, ideate, validate the MBO. And I also read your blog on this, and yeah, let's prototype, but also like see before we come to this notion of, okay, investing in the idea of testing the product, of even, yeah, I guess like making a sale, we validate it. And this was something that I was like, okay, this is something I want to learn because I don't have much experience in this. Then, in arrears, in hindsight, I realized that, hey, you missed out on some key thing here: iterate. This was one of my learnings, and this is what I would also like to share throughout this presentation. That if I were to go back and write your curriculum, I would put iterate in there almost everywhere. um, so I'll explain a bit why. So essentially, like, this is how the journey started. And we said that, okay, I need to find an idea to work on. And yeah, I didn't know how to do this. So I started identifying problems. I started listing my own problems. I started listing strangers' problems. And then I went around interviewing people, and I asked people, even random people on the train, what problem do you have? Assigned a cuteness score, which was, of course, not too scientific, but we did it. And I thought, okay, let's try to validate this one, because this is a problem that I have and some people in my network have. So I came up with this niche, and I said young professionals in the start of their careers who are in a romantic relationship and struggle to find time for everyone. Essentially, a lot of people that I could reach out to. A very broad niche, but still a narrow niche with this romantic relationships. So the objective number one was that we wanted to make sure that this was an acute problem. We wanted to interview people within this niche to validate that, hey, this is the right person. Sorry, this is the right problem, and this is acute. And what I maybe failed to realize at that point in time was that I was actually validating two hypotheses, and one was actually the niche in itself. So one was the problem, and the other one was a niche. Managed to get 7 user interviews actually, and there were booked 8 calls, but there was one who missed out on the interview, and I thought, yeah, I already have 7. I have a lot of good findings, so didn't follow up on that one. The outreach campaign was actually via network, so someone always knew someone who had this problem, and I asked in total just 11 people to get the interviews, and 9 of them said they had this problem. 8 agreed to an interview. So it was a pretty good sign that, hey, this is a pretty prevalent problem within my circle of network. I love this step where we mapped out and assigned the problems and tried to like pinpoint, okay, even in different colors, see where are the frustrations. We try to map them, and I learned that, okay, we have some this makes for a great case on how to gather insight, how to just make use of the insight, because the problem that I've usually had is that I interview people and I learn that, okay, they have this problem. What do I do with this? Um, and this kind of encapsulated, okay, go from step 1 to step 2, flip the frustration into an opportunity. Then we can create a product vision that might be appealing to some of these, or most likely will be appealing to these customers. What I found was actually pretty interesting. So there was this trade-off for my specific problem that people felt. So there was this trade-off where people said it was an acute problem. They didn't want to lose their friends, and this was a very like strong touch points. They just didn't have any solution to this because the career was so important. So one of the things that they said was that right now it's a trade-off. I'm sacrificing my career to hang out with my friends, to spend time with them. I don't want to do this. So career was just a no-go. We cannot sacrifice this. On the other hand, this acute problem was still there and unsolved. So basically, we created this MBO where I didn't make the compromise. I said, okay, we help professionals strengthen friendships while reaching their career goals. And then on the thing that came out of this discovery was that they sometimes had the time, but they didn't have the energy. So the strategy became by reducing the effort required to stay up to date. This was usually the pain point as well, that they wanted to catch up with friends that didn't talk to for a while. Yeah, and I generally had this problem myself. So I think at this stage in time, when I go back, I thought to myself, I'm onto something. This is great. Then put up the landing page, made the blue canvas, and explicitly focused on those pain points that I also had: the ease of scheduling a call, speed to catch up, some reminders of, hey, this person wrote you, and I wanted to test this. Surprise, surprise. I got a lot of feedback, and I probably iterated on this MBO 10 times. And I had to, yeah, there was any comments from it's too many words. I don't understand what this is. What is the actual thing you do? I don't want to sign up to this. Okay, iterated. Then finally shortened it a bit and said, we help professionals. So went away from this romantic relationship, just said professionals. Effortlessly maintain friendships, not relationships anymore, friendships. So iterated on that as well, regardless of their busy careers. That one was still key. We created a story, and this I felt was really powerful, where the story had to first resonate with me, but also with the audience. The beauty of having this problem myself was, of course, that I could double check, hey, does this resonate with me or not? And then again, like putting a villain to the problem and just writing this out made it so much clearer to understand, what am I actually pursuing? What am I actually doing? And it all made sense. So I put up a new landing page with a new story, with a new header, MVO. And so actually, this one went super great. So after creating this story, after iterating a couple of times on what am I writing on this page, what am I putting up here, which image am I choosing, I had to validate this product vision, which had already iterated a bit: effortlessly maintain friendships regardless of busy careers. And we actually had 24 signups of just 30 page views. So it was a bit, it was kind of like I sent it in group chats and not everyone opened it. I did send it to friends, asked them to send it to their friends. I even wrote, I mean, being a proponent of my own product, I wrote a copy that they could just copy paste. And I actually got pretty good traction. So a lot of people actually went onto this page and signed up. So 80%. I know when you reach out to your network, which you should have a higher standard, but I thought 80% was still pretty good. Yeah, and then I was still onto this. Oh, I love this. I have this problem. I'm not alone. This is going great. I'm onto something here. So we built a roadmap. We built the lean canvas, and or the lean canvas came from the roadmap. And I remember this was also like one of those pivotal moments when I realized, hey, now I have a concrete step-by-step plan to how to achieve my own or how to solve my own problem, how to basically do less with more. Sorry, do more with less. That came out wrong. But generally, I was pretty pleased with this, and things seem to go very as in your curriculum, step by step. It all made logical sense. And I'm not gonna, it's not gonna die here. It's gonna continue. This ride, I did feel like a lot of ups and downs throughout this journey. So this is not really displaying everything that I went through, to be honest. But if you, I did really feel this emotional journey throughout. And at this point in time, I remember this was during the dip. We were when I was still figuring out what resonated with my audience, and it was not easy, but it was fun. I even iterated on the prototype card. So trying to like figure out how do I even test this. We created the prototype card, and I remember I was again like enticed to this one. I really struggled with. So first I was really thinking about this for too long. Then I thought, let's not overthink this. Let's just see what it is they value. After a couple of iterations and reconsiderations after the wireframing, I realized that actually the only way to do this, or the only way to test this, is by emulating the emotional experience that I would like them to feel with this app. Otherwise, there's no way. So the next best thing after the real deal would be then a Figma prototype. So I built a Figma prototype. Before this, I first had to map up this journey. Like, what is it that I'm trying to emulate? Which story am I building? And funnily enough, this was something that resonated with me. Again, I had this problem, so not a problem for me. I built this customer journey with the emotions, and I thought I'll try to get to the value as soon as possible. I built this in Figma. So this was then my prototype, where I had taken the customer interview, the discovery calls input, found the problem, and I've even throughout this entire journey testing this MVO, like what text resonates and what do people value, and I came up with that. Yeah, it's actually like this notion of catching up fast, and okay, here's a solution to this, and I thought this also resonated with me, so I'm again on this path. Let's try this, and I built this prototype that tried to emulate whatever was in this customer journey, and then I tested it. So I tested it on 2 people. Ideally, I would have liked to test it, iterate a bit, and then test again. I unfortunately didn't have time because I was sick when I was supposed to do the case and the onboarding. The prototyping. So I would have liked to do that, but I would like to at least test this with 2 people and then get their feedback. And funnily enough, I asked them throughout this user experience, what did you feel? What did you feel when you saw this screen? What did you feel when you saw this screen? And then I showed them this customer journey map, and I asked them, did this resonate? Does this resonate in general when you receive messages? And they said it was pretty accurate. So it wasn't 100%, but with Figma, I also had these like delayed responses, so you could emulate that. Okay, now you're receiving a message. Now this is happening. These are the options, and it was pretty accurate. Then I applied the product market fit engine, and I realized that, hey, none of them were actually really interested in this product. And it's funny because one of the people I asked to test this was someone who I interviewed, someone who really said they had this problem, and someone who I've throughout this course also talked about this problem and the solution, and they've been generally positive about this, but they were actually the one who said not disappointed. So this is someone who would never use the product. And then I tested this on someone who did not use who wasn't part of this journey, this Prod MBA journey. And again, a bit of a disappointing result there. So what I was thinking would be to, like, my next step, again, iterate, of course. I would try to like maybe test this with 2 more people. I would still like to do that, but then I would probably go back to the drawing board where I would look at the customer journey again, figure out another prototype. So this is basically it. And I just wanted to end up on some key learnings. Practice beats theory, which was the goal of me joining Prod MBA. So I was really happy on this. Storytelling is essential. I really love the hero's journey. Data is only part of the story, and we can tell by my my attempt of creating something and always being on track to having something, but in the end, actually being struck by this product market fit results. Validate, iterate, repeat. That would be a takeaway that I'm taking away from here, which I will continue doing with this simple landing page, for example. Tools and frameworks, love them, but at the end of the day, you need to understand why they are used rather than just applying them blindly. And finally, iterate. This was again something that I took away and something I would love for you to put on your curriculum. And yeah, that is my case study.
Literally exactly on time, according to my timer. I know I started mine a lot. Excellent. 1 second. Sorry, just check my headphones are connected. Yeah, sorry. No, excellent presentation. I think really interesting as well to sort of see your learnings. Okay, so Adrian, what I'll do, I'll quickly just bullet point go through key point from the presentation, and then we'll slow down and talk about the sort of, general feedback and sort of next steps for you. So, if you want, you can follow along with the slides. Do you want to go back right to the beginning? The second slide, I think it was. Sorry, after the process. No, the next one. Good point on iterate as well. I think it's very valid. Here we are, idea sheet. So straight from the beginning, you came with really strong storytelling. I liked how you introduced this idea sheet. You brought in some nice anecdotes. Like, I was speaking to random people on the train, and it built some good curiosity and excitement straight from the beginning, which is super important. Any presentation you're doing. Second point, and you did that later as well. So like when you introduced that third set of OKRs, you're like, I realized I was onto something, ... Again, it builds curiosity. It gets us listening. So important, right? You do this kind of thing middle of a busy day, remotely, everyone's sitting there just switching off. You've got to grab their attention. So I thought you did that really well. On the first set of objectives and key results, excellent. It was very clear, what you're talking about and why. I think that's always the question, is like, why the hell are you telling me this stuff? It was clear what you're talking about, why this is important, and then why you went and did these things and were pursuing these specific key results. That was crystal clear. And, you did really nice, again, bringing color to it. It's like there was a really good sign that we were getting, introductions to our network, this kind of thing. You're building excitement and showing that, hey, this is a good idea. On the second set of objectives and key results, I thought this was not just within the presentation, but generally, I'll talk about this later. The fact that you had this insight of going, why do we need to make this compromise? Why do we have to follow convention? And so, either focus on your career or your friends. That is the crux of innovative first principle thinking, and you've got that, and that is very powerful. Not many people crack that ever. 30 years in the business, so that that's really going to do you well in future. I think just on this slide, probably my only big thing to improve would be, so you sort of mentioned, you said, for example, I then made the blue canvas, and I'm thinking, well, I know what it is, what it is, but what is it actually? Like, what are we doing when we're doing a blue ocean? Because there's a classic management consultant. Someone's going to look at this and, well, great, you got some lines on a graph, whatever. But what is this? It's a way to help clarify your thinking and communicate that thinking visually. So you're highlighting. Obviously, you've got time limit, right? But if you're introducing this, highlighting that open space and building excitement as well, because you want everyone not just to understand, like, hey, this is where we're going to focus, but you want them to buy into that as well. If you're managing product managers, they need to understand this and buy into that and keep focused on that. So that these points around the product strategy, really important to not communicate and then repeat, hammer that point home.
Yeah, good point. Maybe I can have a run at it later, and you can give some feedback.
Yeah, just exactly. You just record this specific section or have it in slide, for example, because that that's a key thing that people are going to be looking out for. And it's key for success, right, of the product generally. If you go to the third set of objectives and key results, your conversion was excellent. As you said, I wrote down the notes before you answered it. Obviously there are some biases there when it's your own network, but it still requires effort. You know, my first business, like the traveling, it just wasn't relevant for a lot of my friends and family. Like they didn't bother signing up. You know, so
Yeah, yeah,
there needs to be an interest there. Obviously, they're going to
yeah.
put a little bit more effort, but it's a very good sign. And again, you caveated it. You said, you know, there are obviously some biases, but it's still good conversion. Exactly as I would have said it.
I did, sorry, forget to write that I actually got 10 form fill outs as well. So 10
Yeah, nice.
service.
Same thing.
So,
Yeah. So
yeah,
anyway, you're building data showing, you know, again, mention, hey, this is really good signal from the market.
yeah.
If you go to the customer journey map, another great, you did this often, but just a great example here, you signaled and connected very clearly. So it's like, you know, before building the prototype, I wanted to, rather than just saying like, here was my customer journey map, you said, no, I wanted to map out the key steps of the user journey, try and, you know, really get to the core value as soon as possible. You've explained what this is that you're showing me and why it's important and how it helped clarify your thinking and how it's going to help me, looking at it, understand what's going on. So again, really good example. That's you know, use that template for the blue ocean and you do well. Final point. I thought it was very clever, a really smart thing. I've never thought about it actually. Comparing reality to the customer journey after, just get a little bit extra feedback. I thought it was a really smart move actually. And obviously there are biases, right? They're not going to be as honest as possible, but you get a sense, you know, as with a discovery, you get a good sense if you're asking the right questions of, you know, what they're really thinking. So I thought that was very well done. Yeah, and you know, zooming out, I think just the notes that I had over the 8 weeks. You know, I think it's hard to say. It sounds like a cop out. You know, what can I say that's very specific for you? You know, I think generally excellent over the 8 weeks in terms of, you know, you seem to have all of the key things that I personally look for in like product leaders, particularly, right? Rather than, you know, some people sort of get stuck at management and that's their thing. You know, you've got ingredients that I see. Your clarity of thought is very strong. You know, you seem to get to the crux of something very well. You've got very good analytical first principles thinking. That's demonstrated by the product vision and strategy you came up with. Good self-awareness as well, which is difficult. You know, understanding, hey, I'm in the dip, or you know, some of the struggles you're facing. You know, that point about iteration and realizing that was very powerful. That's very important. It means you're going to learn quickly. You know, you've got these sort of the ingredients, and then you're also balancing that with, you know, really good work ethic and that just being a bit bold as well. You know, speaking to random people on the train is a great example of that. So, you know, from my perspective, you've got all the ingredients now, and I think it's just, you know, yes, you could improve on product strategy. Yes, you can improve on, you know, how we use data. That's not something we covered in Prod MBA, right? You know, there are topics I'm sure that you can improve upon, but you've got a very well-rounded foundation now that I think is going to do you really well moving forward. And again, you're balancing that with a you know, a mindset of learning quickly, which is very powerful. Yeah, and I think, you know, final comment, I really liked the, you know, it seems to me that you've had the key realization, which is that we can't distill everything down to data, and you know, we have to take leaps of faith. We have to look at things a little bit differently to uncover, you know, our unique approach. And that was, you know, demonstrated in the presentation, demonstrated also with the whole work you did from, you know, from the discovery calls onwards. So I think again, that's going to be really powerful for you moving forward. Any sort of comments or thoughts, you know, on your own learning or?
Yeah. Thanks a lot, first of all, for the feedback. And yeah, I totally agree with you on the blue ocean. It is something I missed. It does happen that you forget that you know something that maybe not is not
Yeah,
obvious.
and you know, also just tying
And
into that point about wanting to improve on strategic roadmaps, also a missed opportunity, right? To really demonstrate that you understand the chessboard, right? You know, what are these longer term moves? That's the kind of thing, you know, people are going to be looking for the more senior you go. But you know,
yeah,
hey, you got 15 minutes. It's hard to get everything in as well.
yeah. But otherwise, like yeah, overall, yeah, I thank you for also giving me the. I guess that gives me a bit confidence that you're saying that I've demonstrated that yeah, I know this, and I'm, like you said, well-rounded and not just in one field. so that gives me a lot of confidence and feels good. Overall, with the course, I got what I expected and a bit more, I guess. Then generally, I do, I do think it was more time consuming than I was anticipating. But I'm generally up for those challenges. So I really liked it in general. So one thing where maybe I could, so first of all, maybe if I can ask you, are you willing to say that to Fabian?
Oh yeah, yeah,
To
definitely, definitely.
perfect.
Yeah,
Then I'll then please send me a message. I think he can.
yeah, yeah. I was happy to quit, sign off call with him and you as well at some point.
Of course, of course. Actually, Berlin. I mean, he's there. I'm going to Berlin. I'm unfortunately gonna have to miss the meetup
Yeah, I
because we
can't
have
make the
a
one before December, but I will actually be there in January
yeah,
though. My
might happen.
nephew's being born.
Yeah, but otherwise, yeah, sure. Would be nice to have. Overall, I think the learnings were great. I think it was a bit too much of a. So if I can give some feedback back, it was a bit
Yeah, that's
too
always
much
good.
of a time crunch. I think fitting everything into 8 weeks was a bit of a stretch. Um, so I think the first 4 or 5 weeks were probably the more intense. But in general, I would have loved to, like with this iterate that I learned, the fact that I didn't have time to iterate before the next assignment was due, it made me kind of ball between, iterating on something while also working on something else. And it did take some more time than I anticipated. So didn't have much didn't have much room for this iteration that I would have loved for. So that would have been something.
Yeah, that's great feedback. It's a really hard one for us because obviously when you bring an iteration, everyone goes at different speeds. So it's something we thought about, and it's part of the thinking behind sort of slowing it down at week 5. But yeah, there is a night potentially you do like a week off in week 5 just to do like a catch-up week or something. Could work out quite well. Yeah, that's great feedback.
Yeah, potentially. I
But
mean,
then
it's
we've done
different.
that
Of course,
before, and then people
everyone.
sort of some people drop off because they sort of you lose the
Yeah,
rhythm as well.
yeah. So don't get me wrong. I think it's great. It's just that maybe it's good that you made this a bonus track, so that some people could actually take their time. I personally would have loved for more time on the course iterating, but I know that some people might have had to iterate already in the first phase where I didn't have to iterate. So
Yeah.
this is a hard
So
balance.
one thing I'm thinking of is doing a separate it would be more like coaching and much more hands off where we do like say just the bonus track of people that really want to actually go develop their idea. Just doing like a weekly call
Mm.
with a group and then obviously some content as well, but it's very much about like the coming to the session, getting some feedback and accountability of like what are you doing as the next step.
Mm.
That's an idea I've had.
Yeah, yeah. I think you should pace it out between. If you want to do like a bonus track, it shouldn't be
No,
straight
so this
after
would be a
those eight
separate,
weeks.
this would be, yeah, it would be separate, maybe
Okay.
twice a year or something. People that want to sort of,
Oh, yeah. Could be an idea. Could be an idea. I think it's nice when we have it warm to kind of like work on it when we
yeah,
are working on it.
yeah.
So on the one hand side, I think 1 or 2 weeks in between for the case, like now we had 3 weeks. I think this was good, but it would also be, yeah. I think if I couldn't have done the bonus track straight after these 8 weeks, I had to take 1 week off. Uh, it
Yeah,
was
usually we do give 2 weeks. I think you're right though. It's actually better to just say, look, it's compulsory 2 weeks off. If you want to do bonus track, great. If not, take your time and then maybe just doing office hours as well to help. Obviously not this time because I wasn't away, but do some office hours, for example, week 9 and 10, if anyone wants any help.
exactly. So this was a good one because I feel like I wasn't sure what I was looking for when I was doing the prototype. I know I got some feedback and input, and then I put it up there, but would have been, I mean, you at least have followed the track of me and my product. And this was maybe something where I felt like it was a bit difficult to follow everyone's product and, you know, always comment on everyone's product because you were not in their head. And once you get to week 4 or 5, there was just too much information for you to actually give constructive feedback. I would have loved to give feedback to some of the some people from the cohort. By the way, they were super nice, all of them, when I spoke to them. Really liked them and bonded with a couple of them.
Nice, it's good to know.
Then another feedback would be I expected a bit more community, maybe community building before the actual bootcamp starts. So it took a while before I felt like I was part of a cohort. So like during the onboarding weeks, we're already working on this. Might as well, connect us.
Yeah, it's an interesting. That is a good idea, actually. So, yeah,
at least like connect us on, you know, how do we ideate? How's it going for everyone? Do you need help ideating or something like
You're
this?
definitely right about that. Yeah.
It was something I was missing, but otherwise, really nice, really well structured and well done.
No, that's great. They're really helpful feedback. Yeah, the community is a really tough one. It's an ongoing thing as well. I think we can definitely should connect people before. Yeah, and afterwards is obviously a different topic, but you know, we sort of tried a lot of things. It comes down really to just doing in-person meetups, just that they're pretty hard to beat. Really doing sort of 2-3 times a year. And then, you know, obviously we like you to, you know, carry on obviously connecting with the people that you had a good connection with on the cohort, you know, with questions, that kind of thing. Yeah.
So when I did an exchange semester in Thailand, and this was I guess before I guess they don't really adhere to GDPR, and in general, like we were sent the entire list of every exchange student that was coming a couple of months in advance. So then we just reached out to each other and had a call, and then we booked trips together. And this was actually really cool because then we got friends before we started school. We already had some trips planned, so we went there a bit earlier. And so I think there's a lot of value in knowing who's coming there, although you might not be eligible to share all this data. But if everyone joins, for example, a Slack channel that is
You can do it through
close
Slack,
community.
definitely through Slack. Yeah, I think that's a great idea, actually. I'm just going to put something in my calendar to do that for January. Next cohort's 23rd of January, so there's no reason to not do that at the beginning.
Yeah, no stress.
No, I think completely right, and it just helps build more connections, right, coming into it, and connect students. Awesome.
Yeah. Overall, really nice video layout, video structure. Like the structure of the entire. I guess the 1 to 5 week 1 to 5 is really thought out. Then 6 and 7, I guess, are more for seniors. So I maybe this is where I was like topology and coaching was less of my area. Something I had maybe less value of, but I still loved the coaching session. It gave me perspective in general. So I think the coaching session with Anthony really broadened my mind, and I actually used this in a couple of people, including my girlfriend.
Nice.
So because it's a way to get to know others. So I really love that, although I'm not able to use it in my job.
Yeah, it'll be sooner than you think, though. So yeah, that's a good thought. Actually, we can maybe nudge non-seniors down the bonus path, and which also ties in, right? Because you know, one of the reasons why we separated is that many more senior people have lots of experience with prototyping, so it's sort of like, you know, not that exciting for them. Whereas topology coaching are really important for them. That was part of the thinking. But yeah, that's good. That's something I'll think about for sure.
Yeah, no stress. Yeah, overall, otherwise, really nice to also get access to the community and video for a lifetime. I guess I wasn't expecting this. This also, I guess, yeah, a pretty good selling point.
Nice. Yeah, maybe we should pick that up more. Well,
I
I
don't
think
know.
it's
I don't know.
also, yeah,
It's also this nice surprise.
yeah, that's true. It's true. The other thing also, I think if we tell people that you've got lifetime access, they'll go like, oh, I'll just come back to it when I'm less busy, and then they never do. So I think it's better
Yeah.
to sort of push you for 8 weeks, and then you've got the foundation. Now you can go back and take your time on some topics as well.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's the right approach as well. So yeah, do you have any, but generally you were pretty pleased with my performance. Do you have any recommendations of like maybe some
Yeah,
book or something I
yeah,
can do
this
to
is what I was
improve?
thinking. It's hard to, I'm wary of saying it because I felt like you were very strong on everything we did, but obviously I don't see you day to day, in terms of leadership, in terms of product strategy. I would suggest going through this kind of thing we could talk about with Fabian on a quick call or just over email. I would say the best thing to do is to go back to any topics you felt you're not 100% confident on, or for example there's an advanced product strategy series, for example, and then if there's a topic you go or say I'd really like to learn more about product strategy, under those videos you're going to see all the book and article recommendations. So I would just say go find a topic that you feeling from my perspective you're pretty strong on everything that I've seen, but you're going to know best if you're a bit shaky on something specific, and then just go through the further reading below would be my suggestion. And then second thing is carry on, for example, like prototyping something relatively new, keep iterating. Why not? You've got easy access to friends and network. Why not iterate? Eventually you might go, well, what, actually, if I want to learn to code, you could do a whole custom version, for example, or no code application. So I think that's a good way to sort of keep moving, and then, as I said, go back and look at some of the reading just to build a sort of better theoretical foundation.
Mm-hmm. Okay. But okay, thanks. This is also something I guess generating revenue could have been in the bonus path.
Yeah, we touched upon it. It's one
but
of
it
the
is
things.
difficult depending on your product.
Yeah, I mean, we had about 25% success rate in the first 4 cohorts with revenue, and then it became, as we moved really into product management, it just became a bit of a distraction. But I need to re-record some of the videos in bonus, particularly around that, sales scripting, revenue, etc., to do that properly. It's something else to note down.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely. Awesome. Well, look, that was really helpful feedback, Adrian. And as I said, I think really strong case study, but obviously that represents the work you've done as well over the 8 weeks. I think it's really, really well done. I think you got a lot of potential to realize now. That's the next step, is just keep pushing yourself, keep learning. As I said, keep that sort of analytical mind, and you're going to do well.
Yeah, that is maybe something what should I be doing right now? Like, what is my next step to career to progress my career, for example?
Yeah, I mean, I think you should. Well, first step is, I think, speak to Fabian about what he sees as a path within the company. But you should be next step should be pushing towards senior PM. I think getting a bit more responsibility.
And that is regardless of me being just like a few months into product.
No, not saying right now, but you should have a clear conversation about like, how do I get there with Fabian. It depends on the company, right? You've got the potential. Obviously, you need a bit more experience. You need to go and take what we've done in isolation, right, and now apply this within your company. You do that, start having some impact with one of the products you're working on. There's no reason to then not be promoted quickly afterwards. But concrete next step, as I would say, is take the learning you've got with us, and now you need to be applying it in your company. It needs to translate into impact if you're ever going to have a conversation about promotion. So not an immediate goal, but I think you should start aiming towards that within, I don't know, a year, 2 years, for example. Depends again on the company circumstance. Depends if we have a massive recession as well, obviously.
Yeah,
Which
fun
makes it
times ahead.
tricky. Yeah. Good. But look, what I'd suggest is next step. I'd like you to have a chat with Fabian about just getting some career goals down. Well, you're very early in, but again, you want to be aiming for something. So just see what he suggests. He knows you better, having worked with you a lot. And then yeah, I think just get back to me and say, look, this is what we've sort of agreed upon, and then I can send some suggestions through as well.
Okay, nice. And you want to
Awesome.
have a call with Fabian? You, me,
I'm
and
happy to have a quick call. I think I would say best thing to do is you speak to him, set out your career goals, and then we can we can stay in contact over email. I'm happy if you want me to, I can just email him as well the notes that I have, or also happy to hop on a quick call, 10-15 minutes and just go over some my thoughts and feedback.
yeah, I think an email would suffice, but if you want to talk to him, we can schedule a call.
No, completely up to you. Completely up to you. Happy to help with it. Yeah, I'd say that next step, I would say book a call in with him about setting some career goals for you, between you, and
We have
then
that.
okay, nice,
We have that
nice.
scheduled.
Okay, awesome. And then I would say just CC me in with whatever the outcome is, and I'll then share my feedback. Give you my thoughts as well on that.
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay,
Yeah.
awesome.
But it's
Good.
within maybe a few weeks. So
Yeah. No, I
no
mean,
stress.
completely up to you. Completely up to you. No,
Yeah,
no rush from my side. Good. Well, look,
good.
enjoy this evening. Relax. You can close the chapter now. Prod MBA. If you obviously great if you pick up the iteration, but leave it for a week or two. Have some time off. And yeah, keep me updated on things, how things are going at work. As I said, what these career goals are, and I'm more than happy to help as well.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Yeah.
Awesome. Cheers, Adrian. Well,
Then
look, have a great evening.
yeah, you too, and good luck with the rest of the cases and within the next cohort.
Thank you. Cheers. We'll speak soon. Bye bye.
Yeah, take care. Bye.